me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Tonight, we are celebrating the 35th birthday of Alive and Free Omega Boys Club.
It went quick. It went 35.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd that come from?
35.
Malcolm was a baby.
35.
Right about that.
The actual birthday was yesterday.
Wait, now is this Street Soldiers or the club?
This is the club. The club.
Oh,
club
man. 1988?
1987. February 26th, 1987.
I think I was there.
February.
I think you may have been.
I think I was there.
February 26, 1987.
But you can't prove it, though.
Then I'll just say I was there. There you go.
So tonight and this Tuesday, we're having dual celebration. Tuesday, we're going to celebrate with all the young people that we could find and get our hands on, and we're going to do with them. Tonight, we're going to celebrate with all of those staff and adults who have made this whole thing possible, right? We're going to do that. And so I dug up some folks that I could find, and they're going to come in, and we're going to have fun reminiscing. Yep, I dug them up. I had to dig deep.
Wait, were they dead? Come on now.
I had to, well, the metaphor, right? You're taking it that way. When you dig deep, right? Doesn't always imply death. So they were alive. Okay. But what I'm going to do before we bring them in is I'm going to read the letter that Jack and I wrote and mailed out to the first 15 kids, right? I guess it was that we were. So on February 19, 1987, I drafted the following letter to their parents after a conversation with Jack. And dear parents, Mr. Joe Marshall, teacher at Potrero Hill Middle School, and Mr. Jacqua, counseling aide at Potrero Hill Middle School, announced the formation of the Omega Boys Club. This club is modeled on a similar organization in Vallejo, California, with which Mr. Marshall is familiar. The purpose of the club is to motivate boys to do their best in life and to enjoy their achievements through academic and recreation activities. The Boys Club is basically an academic organization. We will ask each member to try to maintain the highest standards possible in school and their social lives. The club will make a strong effort to find out what it takes to help members develop their greater potential. At club meetings, we'll ask members to bring in school report cards and progress reports so that grades can be monitored. Club members will discuss issues of interest to them. The Boys Club will take field trips for sports, sightseeing, educational interests, and will visit other Boys Club. Club members will be involved in civic projects. Most of all, career alternatives after high school graduation will be explored, especially a college education. We hope to have some scholarship money available for those Boys Club members who wish to pursue a college degree. The first meeting of the club will be Thursday, February 26th at 7 p.m. at the Potrero Hill Neighborhood House, 953 DeHaro Street, San Francisco. We encourage a parent to accompany each youngster to the first meeting. If there are any questions, call Joe Marshall or Jacqua. And we put the school phone number down, 647-1011. We look forward to seeing you there. And then we waited to see if this was going to actually work.
Wow.
35 years later,
That should be in the Library of Congress.
it worked. A reading from the book of Omega Street Soldiers. So that's it. That's how I started, folks. And 35 years later, here we are. So we're gonna get started with tonight's reminiscing with those significant adults who have been the scene setters, so we can have these scenes every Tuesday and every Thursday and also every Sunday night for all these years. So, Ann, you got something to play, and I'm gonna get these folks in and let the reminiscing begin.
Yes. Happy birthday, alive and free.
I brought my violin.
How do we know
Dr.
it's
Joseph
you
Marshall,
playing?
co-founder of Live and Free Omega Boys Club, better known to a lot of folks as Omega, some to just the club, and we are celebrating our 35th birthday.
Congratulations to Alive and Free for 35 years.
Happy 35 years of Alive and Free.
Happy 35th anniversary, Omega Boys Club Alive and Free, and I wish another happy 35 years more.
I just want to say congratulations to the organization for 35 years of serving the community, and I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of that.
So we have a cast of thousands tonight. It's gonna take me a minute to get them all in here. So Jack can tell some stories while I'm doing
got a
it.
story, Doc. I know everyone's
be
thinking
patient.
if I was there on day one and I'm only 35 now, I must have been just born on the first meeting. Obviously, because I look so young. So yes, I'm 35 now.
Don't let him get away with that.
I was born a week before the first meeting, and just to set the record straight.
Yeah, you're in the record book as the first person under 5 that joined the club.
at the neighborhood house. Hey, Jack, what bus goes by the neighborhood house? Was it the 22?
No.
19.
It's the 19.
Yeah, the 19 to 53 Southern Heights used to go by.
Because I remember that was the first time I've been on that. I remember I was scared as hell to get on that bus because I didn't live in the city. He made me come all the way out there from Concord. And I was like, are you gonna pick me up? He was like, no, just get off at 16th and Mission and take the bus. I was like,
Yeah, that's the Southern Heights. That's 53. It doesn't run anymore.
remember they was throwing things at the bus back then.
And he cost the 19 up the hill.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting everybody in. Who I got? Let's see. Let me call off names. I'm still sending texts. It's
Hi,
amazing,
Marlene.
y'all.
Hey.
Hold on. Who am I
It
sending?
looks like Dr. Norris there.
Miss Norris?
Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Y'all can all say hi to each other while I'm getting everybody.
Oh, good.
in.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Too.
Trying to read your shirt, but I am Angelo, yeah.
All of them.
All of them. Black
Yeah.
history. Black history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Can you
The
see
one
it?
thing I think so I get everybody. I got so many of y'all. I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3. So let me see who's here. All right, Jack is here. Dr. Margaret Norris, where you at? You here?
I'm right
There
here.
she is. All right, wave your hands in the air. Okay. Do we have Mama Rita Collins?
Hey.
There
Hi.
she is.
Hey, Rita.
Do we have Gwen Brown? Gwen ain't here yet. All right, well, all right, I'll keep working on her. She's important. David Brown. David, I see D Brown, but I don't see you.
I see D Brown, but I don't see his
Okay.
David, look, this is on air television. This ain't this is not okay. Do we have Marlene?
You can't see me?
No, we don't.
No, we can't see you.
Hey.
There we go. Yay.
Witness protection program, you cannot come on. Don Strand. There he is. Demetra Jones. You still waiting on Demetra, huh? Okay. All right. Let me see. He said okay. All right. Miss Deborah Patterson. Here she is. And is here. Deirel. I'm waiting on Deirel. She's supposed to be. Oh, I got to send her a text. Okay. And Llowelyn.
Yes.
Good morning,
Good
Sunny
morning.
Bona.
And we're gonna save a space. We're gonna save a space for Coach. Okay. Just.
You didn't call Adrienne's name.
We're gonna save a space for Coach. Let me get Deirel. See if I can get Deirel.
You didn't call
All right.
his name, Dr. Marshall.
Huh?
Adrienne. Adrienne.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Riley. I'm sorry. I don't want your husband to jump on me. Okay. 35 years yesterday, 35 years. And I read from the book about the letter that Jack and I first sent out. We started this thing, and it's just, it's just hard to believe. 35 years. I mean, it went by fast, but didn't go by fast. And so I thought the best way to celebrate this was two things. So Tuesday, we're gonna have all the Omegas. We're gonna get the Omegas in. We can't meet in person and do it Zoom. But I thought the other way was, if it wasn't for all of you, Tuesday night wouldn't happen, and Thursday night wouldn't happen, and Sunday night wouldn't happen, and anything else wouldn't happen. My first thought was behind the scenes, but you set the scenes, right? You set the scenes. You set the scenes for Tuesday night. You set the scenes for Thursday and Sunday and everything else. And, I just sort of wrote down some of the things that have happened in these 35 years that are really quite remarkable. 256 college graduates, which will be 264 by the end of this calendar year, 50 currently in school, 30 years of the radio show. I don't know. This is something my soul remembers, and I think Dr. Norris will remember, is the Knowledge Conference back in 92, 93, 94. Of course, I think that the biggest thing of all, for me personally, is the Alive and Free prescription, because that enables us to save people beyond the walls here. The Alive and Free Consortium, School Adoption Program, 3 Soldiers of Books, 3 Soldiers of Documentary, all those awards and recognition, and the international travel. So it's been something. It's been something. But it wouldn't happen without y'all. Wouldn't happen without y'all. Would not have happened. No way. It started with me and this guy here. Wave your hand, Jack, so everybody know who you are. Well,
everybody know who he is.
It started with me and him. And we said, let's do it. And we did it. And then a year later, a guy named Coach Wilbur Jiggets came. And then a year later, Dr. Margaret Norris came. And by the way, I'm saying Dr. Norris, I'm gonna say Miss Norris like 50 times, so don't get upset. And so, because that's what I do you as. So, I'm gonna try and do this chronologically. Mama Rita's been around a long time. David Brown, the accountant, has been around a time. So we're just trying to do this chronologically and add folks as they came in. It's hard to cover 35 years in an hour and a half, so we'll go as much as we can. But let's start with the early years and talk about what you remember. I think the best thing you just do remember. And for this part, I'm going to have Dr. Norris and Jack and obviously myself. Mama Rita, you were there in those early days. And I don't know where Gwen is. I got a get Gwen. Maybe she fell asleep. I'm
I
gonna
think
try
no,
and find.
she's joining. It just looks like there might be a little hiccup on her end, but Miss Demetra is with us right now.
Okay, good. So we're gonna start there. When I say the early years, I mean the basement of Potrero Hill neighborhood house, and of course the top room. And we were there for the first 7 or 8 years, and then we came over here. But even after that, we still went over there for the family meeting. So let's see. And because you are in Atlanta, Dr. Norris, and you are 3 hours ahead of us, and I know you need your beauty sleep. Why don't you jump in? What do you remember from those early years, huh? What do you remember?
Well, first, I want to say that it is just really pure joy to be in this space with each and every one of you. And what do I remember about those early years? It's funny. You know, I love to eat. So the first thing I think about with those early years, I remember the Ella Finley Women's Group from Jones, because one of the things that really
she froze.
Was the food that they provided. They would come in, this women's missionary group from Jones, Coach's wife, Mrs. Jiggets, just a whole group of them. And they would cook a full meal, spaghetti, fried chicken, sometimes hot dogs, hamburgers, but they would cook this meal. They would make sure that every single student was fed, and they'd always come to me, Margaret, did you get it? Miss Brooks would always come over to me. Margaret, did you get your food? Did you get food? I said, yes, ma'am, Miss Brooks, I got my food. I'm ready to roll. And so but I think that it's more than just the meal, because yeah, it fed them and gave them nourishment. But I really think that what it showed the students was that there were people who didn't even know them, who loved them unconditionally, who loved them without question, and who wanted the best for them. And they showed up. And I think that was a really important piece. So that always has a special place in my heart. The other thing that stands out about those early days, when I first came in there, those kids couldn't stand me.
No, they couldn't.
It was the funniest thing. Who is she? How come she making us do so much work? Who said we have to write? I don't want to write. She acting like this is supposed to be school or something. It was so funny. And I just kept coming. And, you know, we stayed the course. And again, I think that it really was a matter of another person who loved them and who loved them through all of their angst. Something else I remember about the early days, I'm looking over in my corner. I don't know where he is in your window, but Jack riding up and down over to Martinez, down to Log Cabin, you know, just hitting the road in that old in that old raggedy car of yours.
Got the same car now.
That was
Got the same car.
much fun, and it never broke down. That car never broke down. Jack did it, and so you know, we would
well,
go.
If he did, we didn't know it. Okay,
we didn't know it. You know, but we would go over there to the county facility in Martinez, and we would also go down to San Bruno and then down to Log Cabin. Early days, it was just raw. It was
hang
so.
in, because I want the early days to free flow. So Mama Rita, you were there. Jack, jump in. And I don't know where Gwen is, because Gwen you were there too. You were there the early days. So Mama Rita, you were there. And actually, Malcolm, you came with me in those early days. So you were there early on. So we can all sort of vibe off each other, because I got a couple members I want to throw at Ms. Norris. Mama Rita, what do you remember from them early days in the basement?
Well, definitely a lot of what Anita said, and she always said it so elegantly. But I just remember coming and feeling the atmosphere and knowing that, well, you know, I came in very desperate because my daughter was in, you know, a bad place in her mind. And so whenever I got there and realizing that the support that she was getting and the atmosphere that I felt even for my own self, you know, I just appreciated so much. And I admired, you know, you and Jack and I think at the time Preston Worthy was still there too.
Yeah. Ronnie Hatter. Yeah.
Right. And you had two other sorority brothers, Tony and I can't think of the other guy's name, but yeah, just that they would sacrifice their time and energy for kids that weren't theirs. I mean, that was a big thing for me because I didn't even see that at church. You know, I mean, not in the same vein that the kids could, you know, come and talk about. I mean, people would listen. They would listen to them, and they wanted to hear what they had to say. And I remember that's when I think after the first year or second year that I was there, Siobhan's mom and the sister Kylie, she had two daughters in there, and there was one other mom. Oh, Christy. Remember Christy? And that's when we got to talking about Kwanzaa and those principles. And a lot of what you guys were talking about just seemed like they just coincided so well with Brother Karinga's Kwanzaa celebration and stuff. Yeah. And our collaboration for that to happen. And, there were just so many wonderful young people that came through and just watching them grow. It's very hard for me to focus on just one thing because even when you first started talking to me, Dr. Marshall, about this, so many things just kept running through my head, you know. I couldn't catch just one thing because it was just so many. But I think the thing that stands out the most for me is just seeing so many of the young people that wanted to listen because, you know, Coach said, you know, the more you listen, the longer you live. And I mean, it's so real. I mean, I could see those kids that stayed, those kids that applied themselves, you know, those kids that listened to you and Jack and Nita and then Miss Estell and stuff. They just seemed to flourish. And I just felt so blessed to be able to see that. And I'm just so thankful for the Boys Club for being there because not only did, you know, those young people needed support and my young people, but even me as a mother. And I just was like, I'm just so thankful. I feel so blessed to have been part of it and that my girls have been part of it. And then I got a chance to, and that I've had a chance and still try to support in any way that I can what the Boys Club is doing for the young people. You've
been the club mama for just about all 35, at least 30 of those 35 years. At the beginning of the year, we gave Jack his own show, so that's why, you know, because he already had a whole show. But I think if I would ask him what he would remember. What do you remember about those early years, Jack? I know what I remember.
I think the main thing, at the very first meeting, we made it very clear we were starting a boys club, but it was a new kind of a club, serious club. It wasn't about sports. It wasn't necessarily about, you know, field trips. It was mainly relating to some serious conversation about life, death, anger, fear, pain. You know, didn't say those words maybe, but it was going to be serious. And if they bought into it, they'd come back. And if they didn't want to buy into that kind of thing, then they don't come back. And so that was the deal. Most of them came back. And at the time, you know, we had the two people that I remember the most, really, Maceo and Jermaine. I mean, Maceo was definitely, we called him Malcolm, you know, and Maceo today, 35 years later, is working with kids, working with youngsters in the inner city. Jermaine, who was another one of the main speakers from that group, he's working also with the youth in Sunnydale. So, I mean, it's something that they followed through. And it's a family. It really turned into a family, and of course went in directions we never thought we'd ever go. But the whole thing is, you know, we can't chronicle it here in the next hour because it's way too much. But Rita, I have to say, and she was there at the beginning, the fact her spirit, her energy, her consistency, her commitment with the daughters, without the daughters, she was there. And not only on the Kwanzaa celebrations, but she was just ever present. And I also want, before I get off the mic here, I want to just bring out, Doc mentioned Ronnie Hatter and Preston Worthy, just for the sake of, you know, Ronnie is no longer with us. Preston is back east taking care of his mother, who's in her middle 90s. But I think the thing is that they were part of it at the beginning, and they were important at the beginning. But Rita, you were the star on the mother's side. And also I need to say this, the mothers from the community, a lot of these youngsters' mothers did cook every, I think, Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, we had 2 nights a week, and they cooked. One of the mothers just passed away last week, Miss Brown, Leola Brown. But, you know, most of those mothers did something that I don't see happening in the community these days. I mean, I know it's happened somewhere, but what we had going, they did it out of their heart. There was a lot of love and a lot of soul in that food, I'll tell you. And, you know, so that's just a few things I remember at the beginning.
We got a lot of ground to cover, so we only got the first day.
Yeah, the first day.
You got the first day. Look, what I remember is how raw it was. It was raw. And what we didn't know is what we had stepped into. We didn't know it was a crack cocaine era. We really didn't know that. Now you read books about that era, right? You read a book about, you know, the new Jim Crow, and we had no idea what we were walking into. We had all these kids coming in. There were drug dealers and gangbangers, and, you know, the whole bit. And that stuff was, it was just, there was so much energy in the room, and we were there. Jack, I counted this up, 1,820 Tuesday nights for 35 years. It's almost 2,000, almost 2,000 nights. That's how I remember. But Dr. Norris, I gotta tell you this. I have a few memories. You remember us going to LA to deal with the Crips and Bloods?
Oh, yes, I was getting there. I was
getting in a car and
absolutely.
driving down to Los Angeles to do the Crips and Bloods.
Yep, yes, indeed. Do you remember us going to what's his name's house and dealing with the gunfire? Yep. And he's sitting up there talking about
they bring out the scrapbooks and show us all the scrapbooks of all the dudes in LA getting killed. And we in the house, we sit in the house in LA. Oh man.
We had a duck and cover.
How about us getting at 4:30 in the morning, catching a plane to go to the prison in Lompoc to go in there?
Yes. And you remember having to stand in the circle on the bullseye, and you could not move until they gave you the order to move.
That's when we went into Quint. Yeah.
Because if you move, the guard up in the tower could shoot you.
That's the stuff we did.
Yes. Oh, I remember.
We didn't even blink. Gwen Brown, I gotta come to you. You're down there, you're back east too. Hello, big sis. David is here, he probably sees you. Gwen was the first, we had no money. Gwen was the first one that said, we're gonna get you some money. Hi, Gwen.
Hi there. It is so great to see everybody. Jack.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed, very blessed.
What do you remember? What do you remember?
Oh, I remember that first meeting I came to, and there were just a few kids, and you and I had met at a meeting where I said, a community meeting where I said I give away money, and I was with the Kaiser Family Foundation, and I loved what I saw at that first meeting, but I knew I couldn't get money for 6 kids. And I stalled you and kept you waiting. And when I came back a few months later to the graduation, where you were kids were finishing, getting their report cards, and it was close to graduation time. And the energy in that room, the love between the kids. I mean, the boys were hugging each other and high-fiving each other and clapping and celebrating each other, you know? And I thought, gosh, I thought these were gangbangers. I thought these were kids who were going to be
They
after
were.
each other's throats. Yeah, that's it. And I was just stunned that it could happen. And I said, oh, we got to get these kids some money. We got to get this group going. And I went back to the foundation and we agreed that what we needed to do was get all the foundations involved, that we needed to have money coming in because most foundations have a focus. And the Kaiser Family Foundation that I worked with had a health focus. And we needed to get people who were doing things in other areas of the community. So that's what we did, held that meeting with those folks. Some knew about the club, some did not, but were eager to understand and to help. And they asked me to get a proposal. And remember Noel Day?
Yes, yes, I sure do.
Put that,
You put it on paper,
guys,
what we do, yes.
put it on paper, translated it.
Yep.
We called it a translation. And that proposal, everybody loved it. And so the money started coming in. And I was, and still am, thrilled to have been a part of the beginning of, I say, the Omega Boys Club, Street Soldiers, Alive and Free, and all of that. And whatever it is now, it's the same energy, same spirit, same work. And I'm every city I go to, I try to get an Omega Boys Club, Street Soldiers Alive and Free program, interest in the program. And because in every city I've lived, there has been a problem with shootings of young Black men in the Black community. Every community I've lived in. And St. Petersburg is no different. And so I just, you know, I'm still hoping that we can get a club here.
I'm just saying, did you ever think it would get to be?
Oh, I never, the one thing I knew, funders kept asking, they were worried about something happening to you, Dr. Marshall, and that the club would end because there was no succession planning, that you weren't getting anybody ready to take your place. And I remember that used to irritate you so. But
that's a whole nother story.
yeah. But my concern was the money. How could we keep the money coming in so that the club could operate and could do what it needed to do? And where's David? Working with David, we were trying to make sure you guys. He's what?
I'm here.
You see him?
Hey, David! Oh my goodness! It's great to see you, man.
Same here.
But he knew that you guys needed a fund that you could draw from when times got tough. And so I was working on that, but you guys just kept pulling in the money from one foundation after the other. And that was my big worry.
You know, Gwen, you say that, and I always used to tell people, I'm in the business of saving lives. And if you can't do the business, you can't save lives. Especially when you open your big mouth and tell them you're going to send people to college. You can't do that with, well, they didn't even have Bitcoin, but you can do it with fake money, right? So, and I'm doing this to show all the people that played a part in this, making this thing work for 35 years. The instructors, the staff, you and David, I got to come to you because you've been the only accountant we ever had. Since we started in 1987, 1993, when we left the neighborhood house and became our own 501c3, here comes Mr. David Brown. I didn't know what an audit was. We didn't have a board of directors. We didn't have nothing. You say you were the audit. I said, what's an audit? So you have been with us, what is this 29 years now? Is that right?
Goodness gracious.
Actually 30. Gwen Brown recruited me in the spring of 1992. So Gwen kept coming to my office saying, well, David, there's these people that could really use you, but I don't think they can afford you. So she said that about 3 times, 3 separate visits, so maybe like on the 10th visit, I said, well, Gwen, listen, let me go and see these people, right? I mean, because again, my firm wasn't cheap, and Gwen was worried about the cost of the club, and so in May of 1992, I met Joe Marshall, Dr. Marshall, at McAteer High School after his math class, right? And it was like, I don't know, bro love at first sight. We both were alumni of USF, and he got his undergrad at my master's. And from there, I talked to Mrs. Enola Maxwell, telling her that the club was ready to be on their own, and that I was going to take them there. And so from it took us from April to December of 1993 when Joe and I moved to the I.M. Scott school building at 1060 Tennessee Street. So that was my beginning with the Omega Boys Club, and I've been there ever since. Felt like we had a good, strong between Gwen, Marlene. The board was the initial board was the greatest people. Jack, Coach. I mean, I was like the consigliere of of the club, and I had my relationship was different with every segment, like Coach talked to me a lot. He had me do a lot of things. Jack had his own thing that he needed done. Joe didn't know a lot about a lot when he came, and but he listened to me as he does still today. He makes his own decision, but he still listens to me. And he values my relationship and my counseling to him, and it's been good. It's been great. I've been there long enough for a whole new group of people who have been great. But it's been great. Yes.
So David and I used to work so hard. You don't know this, Jack. And we didn't have a lot of staff in those days. Sometimes it was just me and David, and we would work we'd get there 8 o'clock, and then we would leave. Miss Patterson knows when she got there was a cot in the back room. And that cot was there because that's where one of us was asleep working all night. And I remember we used to watch these what's the 2 TV shows we used to watch because we worked so late at night? X-Files and Millennium. We'd be up watching X-Files. To get the work done. But man, I want to thank you, man, because so many Black organizations in particular, because I don't say organization anyway, but this organization has always had to do everything right. And between you and Gwen and Marlene, you kept us perfect. We never had a problem. We never audited, never had anything. Everything's been clean. Because I always knew the people just waiting for us to fail. And I just actually heard about an organization that I'm not going to say the name, but you can figure, you might guess on who's just had a bunch of problems with their money, and they've been getting millions of dollars and they messed it up. So I want to thank particularly you, because you've watched over our funding for all of these years, and we've never had a problem, and we will not have a problem. So thank you. Malcolm Marshall, you ain't said nothing, but you were here in the early days. You get to talk about it from the young person's.
Well, not only was I 16 years old at the time, I think I'm the only person in the history of the club who really didn't want to be there and was forced to go. You know how when they said, Malcolm X said, we can land in Plymouth Rock landed on us, but Omega landed on us, literally, okay? Because I didn't want to go be with my dad. You know, why would I do that? I want to be at home playing video games. So I didn't have any choice. So you know, I'm telling the truth too. I'm probably gonna get a whooping if I didn't go. I'm serious like that. A belt would have been involved, okay? But those were different times. Anyway, you know what I remember? I remember this woman, and I just remember thinking, wow, who is she? Something about her, she just seems special, different. She was this older woman, and I would see her at the neighborhood house. I later find out this is Miss Maxwell.
Yeah.
And who years later I learned who she was. But I remember, if I'm correctly, she was the reason why you were able to use the neighborhood house, right?
Free of charge.
Free of charge. Yeah. She just opened it up to everything. Yeah. So obviously it doesn't happen without her. And I just remember being a little in awe of her. You know, at 16 years old, I was like, who is this figure who just seems to be around? But the other thing I want to say, and then you touched on it briefly, Doc, and you and Jack can elaborate. But to understand the beginning of Omega, you have to understand the Bay Area in the late 80s and what it was like for young folks in the late 80s, what the turf stuff was like, what the gun violence was like in the Bay Area in the late 80s. And, you know, Doc, you guys were right there. You knew more than I did, but the late 80s, it was hot.
Yep, it was hot.
It was real hot in the Bay Area. Going on to the 90s for a long, it's kind of cooled down now. I mean, gun violence never goes away, like you say, always in remission and then comes back. But the Bay Area in the late 80s was serious business. So for something like Omega to come along at that time, like a oasis in the desert. And then the last thing I remember is, of course, our famous T-shirts that you had us wear, the ID T-shirts that said, big ID, I don't do drugs, right? In gold and purple. And I just remember wearing the shirt and how it was, I mean, it was a big deal to wear that shirt to school and wear it out. I don't do drugs. There was no 16, 17-year-olds making no statement like that on their chest, let me tell you. They were like, who are you and what are you talking about? Why not, you know? So it was a special time, and I'm just blessed that God had me there at that moment.
Man, what was it like sitting in on a meeting with all these guys you didn't know, you know, and listening to all their stories? And
I mean, I was scared. I was a little suburban softy, you know. I mean, I didn't know nothing about this. They were selling drugs, and it was rough to me. So I was just like, man, what? Dang, why you got me here? You know. My favorite part, actually, if people know, Doc used to drive everyone home. He was notorious for driving, falling asleep. He would get home in the driveway. I'd come out in the morning. He would be in the car, sleep in the driveway. I'd have to be like, Dad, come in the house. Because he had drove all over. But after the meetings, because it was so late, he'd always say, come on, let's go to Oakland. We could stop at Quickway and get some chicken and fries. So we used to stop at Quickway every Thursday at the lake. And that was the best thing for me. I would get that box of chicken fries. We'd be eating in the car. Oh, man, that was the best.
Thank you for letting me, man, drag you over there.
Love you, Pop.
Thank you. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm trying to do the years. God, who would be next? Maybe Don? Huh?
How about Marlene?
Marlene, yeah, Marlene. Come on in. Now, the people who have already said something don't mean you can't come back. So if something popped in your head you want to say, Dr. Norris, throw it in. You know, we ain't leaving you. We just bringing people in slowly. You might remember stuff. You remember when? There's a lot of remember whens I'm thinking of as I do this. Marlene, Lynn. Now the torch was handed. Let me get this straight. If I can do this straight, the grant writing torch was handed. It didn't come directly to you. I think it went to Pearl, right? And then it came to you. But how long have you been with us? You've been with us since
it's December 1st, 2004.
Yeah, so okay, right. So you've been writing grants for a while. And you used to give me them big grants. I'm sorry. But what about the club? What do you remember? What struck you about it?
FYI, I think some of those big grants from the school adoption really did the whole adoption for years, and you know, all those steering committees and all that stuff. So that's where a lot of those came. What do I remember? Oh goodness, put me on the spot. I'm like, I missed. I never got to meet Coach because he was, you know, he wasn't there anymore. Yeah. But I got to know him that way. And then I met Mrs. Jiggets only at the unveiling of the renovated Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
In those days, Dr. Marshall, I took the pictures of the renovation that night, actually, for the whole evening. You had me take pictures when the kids were going to part of the math, eating out at, I forget the name of the place. And it was like, oh, can you take pictures? Can you do this? Can you do that? So it was like
benefactors reception.
Like, benefactors. And then I would just have a recorder there that on the table to try to catch some of the stuff to type up. I did a lot of really like manual labor. I mean, that's not manual labor, but you know what I mean? Like whatever needed to be done to try to get, because I'm the data person, but I like to get the quotes too. So I was finding any way to do that, you know? Let's see. Oh, so, and then this is one thing that is in my brain. I was just telling Ann about it recently. So there was one file cabinet for grants, and it was the skinny tall one with like maybe file. It was in the front room, and there were some dividers. So from ramp up, I went in there. I had to go through everything and make copies. Or, you know, it wasn't internet then, so I'd make copies of everything and make, you know, shadow files at my house and all that kind of stuff. And it was a mess. The files were a mess anyway.
Hey, I know nothing about that. My job was to like get the kids, deal with them, send them off to school, listen to their problems.
So yeah, anyway, it was it's been quite a road. It's been quite a path, whatever you want to say, journey, that's the word. Yeah.
I didn't know when I started this, because we were the neighborhood house and you know, they just let us do our thing. I had no idea that you needed, if you went off by yourself, needed a board of directors. And I was like, Harriet Tubman didn't need a board of directors. Why the hell I need a board of directors? I'm just trying to help people like that. So we have been representing our board people, the people you gotta have to do the nonprofit business. I got my two folks here. I got Don Strand and Adrienne Riley. And interesting about both of them is that although they have been board people, they have been more than board people. And they can tell you why. So let me get them both in. Don and Adrienne, Mrs. Riley, why don't you tell everybody when you came and the roles and why you came? What struck you about this place that made you want to, who wants to start?
Adrienne, do you want to, or do you want?
I think Don should start. He came before me.
All right, we're doing this in order.
Well, first of all, I have to say, looking at all these people, it's, you know, I'm a one-on-one guy. You know, I'm not the one that stands up in front of the room and talks to the kids and such. It's more one-on-one. And I look at all these people, and you all are like my favorite group of people. I mean, everyone that's here has done things that are so meaningful outside their own selves, you know, and that is so rare today. And I think that's what keeps on drawing me back is, I think it sort of reminded me when you were talking about succession. You know, succession plan has always been that thing for donors. They always want to say, well, if Dr. Marshall is gone. And I'm thinking like, wow, no, I keep on saying it's the model. And I'm looking here and seeing the progression from the earliest days to what it is contemporary right now with Deirel. And each line of succession brings their own style, their own power, their own love to this room. And so I explained to people is that, you know, the thing you don't understand is this is an all-star team. I mean, every level,
absolutely,
staff, teaching, fundraising, accounting, everything has always been at this all-star level. I mean, when I walked in and I tried to figure out where do I fit in here? Because one thing it taught me is how to listen. That's one thing that every person should have the gift of, an opportunity is times that you just don't say anything. You just sit there until you understand the message. But the message comes pretty quickly, and I'll never forget, like when I was first there, and I was blown away by everyone because everyone is completely different styles, completely different rhythm. And I said to Jack, Jack, I don't know, I'm going to fit in. And he said, it's not about fitting in. It's about being real and being committed. You just be who you are. He said, and make sure you keep on coming. And you find your niche and then you fall into it. And I thought that was such amazing advice because it was one of the first times where I really felt like, wow, maybe I do belong where I am. I've always been drawn to this. So, there's so many things. I mean, how can you cover 22 years, I guess, I've been involved? I mean, you can't even begin. I look at each individual and I want to tell stories and such. I do remember when I first began, because I guess that was the beginning of the power, because I didn't even understand this room existed. That's the reason I like to have my background in this room. There's something about the room. There's something about, as Hamilton said, the room where it happened. There's something that goes on in this room that's unexplainable. And I remember sitting in with Dr. Norris, Miss Norris at the time, and we're going through some intense conversations about violence, about domestic abuse. It was very deep. I mean, we know how deep it can get. And we were watching The Lion King, and it just threw me because it was just such a juxtaposition. It was just like, wow, how can we go from violence and gangs, whatever, listening to this? And I'll never forget this moment that I had. I was sitting there and we're watching different clips, and I thought, man, they have an amazing stereo system in here. This is just amazing. And I didn't realize that the kids got so drawn to the film. It was just these soft voices singing the words to this music. So not only was it the teaching, but it was the media that you were using in a good way that started to just sink in and soak into young kids. So that was, incredible moment. And then as we transition into Miss Estell and then Miss Demetra, it was also equally powerful because you start to think, oh, there's a certain way of this program and how things work and what people say. And when we realize everyone's bringing their excellence, because what they do is everyone, Miss Estell and Miss Demetra, it just kind of pours out of them. So this room is something that is absolutely undescribable. And I guess the only thing that I reach for is it's sort of like it's a church with a sense of humor, because there are times when it is so deep and so intense, but then you get Kareem and you get Corey, and I mean, you're literally gut laughing in this in this room. So it's really hard. And I see Llowelyn there, and I think, oh my God, just the extension of this program. We're going to the HBCU graduations, like with Rashad and Will and Omari and Darian. I mean, so there's all this reach that goes on. But it's just like, I don't want to leave anyone out. Everyone is really special to me. And I do miss this. And I do miss, the extension from Tuesdays to Thursdays, which became more intimate, special, and then working on, the financial side of it, I felt like I was able to bring something there. But I just got to say in ending that I think we're all here because we get so much, there's something about this that we're getting. It's not just everyone say, oh, yeah, it's great you do this, but I'm convinced, I think everyone may agree, is that there's something that draws us here because we're getting probably more than we're giving.
And you always say, I have nothing to say. I have nothing
Well, to you guys.
You say it every time.
To you guys.
Okay, before I go to Adrienne, I just had a remember moment, Dr. Norris. Do you remember when Jada Pinkett came to the club? Little bitty Jada.
Every time I saw her on screen the other day, and I remember her sitting there at the desk with me and talking. Oh, do I remember? Yes.
That's before she became Jada Pinkett Smith. So, but anyway, it was just this little girl came in without any makeup. I thought it was one of the kids, but all right, that was our aha moment. All right.
Can I throw something? I remember it's not.
Yes.
I remember our first. It was the 10th anniversary. That was a cotillion that we had.
I remember that cotillion.
And I remember going and getting all of the girls their dresses, the guys in their tuxes, and I just remember how thrilled they were to be able to be presented, to do the waltz, the minuet, and all of. I remember that. Both of them, but there's never anything like the first.
I remember the rehearsals, the practices.
Oh yeah.
All right, Ms. Riley, and then I'm going to Ms. Estell and Ms. Demetra, so get ready.
Well, I, like Dawn, am kind of honored to be here. And at the beginning, I was like, how can I help? How can I help? Just to mention, Ms. Estell and Joe and I went to the same university, USF, and naturally, Miss Estell was just a baby. Not Miss Estell, Miss Norris was just a baby. But I came in 2003, and the board is kind of behind the scenes, important work is done, but it's not noticed in the public. But behind the scenes, the board is responsible to make sure all the magic that happens can keep happening. They're responsible to make sure the money is coming in, things are running well. And I just want to mention, Don was one of my biggest supporters. I was a board chair for about 10 years. And with the colleagues I had on the board, we did some fantastic things. But like I say, it's kind of behind the scenes. We made sure we had committees to do work. We had training on board governance. We did things to make sure that the salaries at the organization were, we had market surveys to make sure the salaries were where they should be. The benefits and the salary packages, health benefits and all of that was where they should be, because we appreciated our staff and we wanted to keep them going in the way they should be. In terms of interest, I've always been, I've always had an interest in youth, because I think we are responsible for paving the way so that the youth can be our future. And so a large part of my years was working as a community college counselor. So over the years, some of the students that were in Alive and Free, I counseled at Laney College. And then at one point during my time on the board, Peralta College's district has 4 schools. And it came to our attention that there were many, many Alive and Free students at those 4 community colleges. So I worked with counselors at each of the colleges to make sure we did an orientation to help the Alive and Free youth know how to maneuver the community college, why you enroll early. I won't go through what we did. And we also made sure they know which counselors to see at each school. We had kind of a code word. I'm from Omega Boys Club, and that would be it. And that's who you see. That's the only person you see. But I'll just say it was I came in 03 and I think I left in 2018, something like that. And it was, it was just it was a fantastic journey. It was an honor to be there. And I, like Dawn, agree that the advice that Jack gave him, you find your niche. Everybody has, gifts to bring and skills. And it was just really an honor to be part of the machinery to make that happen. And to look at how it started. I was at that cotillion. I was at that cotillion in San Francisco. But to see how it started and how it's still going, it's like a miracle, and it's all because people care about the youth. They have a love for the youth and they give whatever gifts they have to give. So it's been a real honor to be part of it, and I'll still be connected, but just not the way I was. So thank you all for everything you did. And thank you, Don. I don't know if I lasted as long as I did if it weren't for Don. He would give me talks.
Wow, but I tell you, adding to that, Adrienne, it is a quiet job in the sense what you've done. And to last that long in that kind of intensity, being in the room was you had a lot more instant gratification. What you did is you really laid a foundation, and it took a lot of work. So it just wouldn't be here if it wasn't you. The structure just wouldn't have been there. So it's been great working with you.
I like your phrase, an all-star team. That's exactly what this is. I'm glad somebody's texting me and saying all the people that were involved in the all-star team. Somebody just texted me, this is great. There was a moment when I was like, oh my God. And that was when Dr. Norris left. I was like, it's gonna be different. What I'm gonna do. And then stepped in, Lady Estell, come to the fore. Miss Demetra, you come also, and I should let Miss Demetra get in and say, because she overlapped. She was never a member at Omega, but Demetra, you got your own story and your relationship with this organization. So you can both go ahead, jump on in and talk about what do you remember?
I came out of the blue. In 1900, I like to say the 100 part. 1997, I started working as a school counselor at an elementary school. And the principal told me that my first assignment was to go to an Omega Training Institute, violence prevention training. And so I did that and came back and immediately put into place in that counseling center everything that I learned at that training institute. It was incredible. The violence at that school was unbelievable. The fighting, the kids were fighting, the parents were fighting, everybody was fighting. And I took that information, put it in the counseling center, and it turned out that the teacher said, I don't know what's going on in that counseling center, but whenever the kids come back, they're different. Dr. Marshall came to the school to give a lecture on Black History Month. And when he walked in, I thought, we don't need to hear about Black history. We need to deal with this violence. That's when I discovered that Omega Boys Club adopts schools. We need to be adopted. We got adopted, and sure enough, we started training the kids. We became what we called an Omega Kids School. And after that, that was what, 97, 98, 99? By 2000, we had an entire system, and the violence dropped in our school from, I'd say in a 2-week period, we would have 60 some referrals of kids fighting. The next year after Omega, it had dropped down to 20. And when I say fighting, I'm saying it would be gunshots. Parents would bring guns to the school to meet with me. It was crazy. And then Dr. Marshall asked me if I would be willing to work with him to bring on other elementary schools, because Omega Boys Club was basically used in middle schools and high schools? And would I be willing to go and work with elementary schools and show them what we did? And I did that. And then I got invited to the radio show. That was 2002. And then in 2004, he said, would you be willing to come and teach the Leadership Academy? And for me, that was like, I was in Dr. Norris's training. I would go to Omega Boys Club and listen to the classes. And I would go back and take notes and go back and say, okay, now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna do this. When he said, would you be interested? I said, absolutely. And I have to say, Dr. Norris, I remember when I came in, it was in September. Just like the kids want to know who you were, they were used to you. When I came in, it was, who is this lady? Oh my goodness, the transition was a transition. They would look at me and they would say, you got some big shoes to fill. And I said, my shoes fit. I got tested. But what came is what's good, what's right, what's best. I knew the model because we had been using it at our school site. But not only that, I came to Omega with the sense of what's good, what's right. You know how it's just a part of you. And then there is a name and a label and an identification for it. And so Omega just helped put all that together for me. After my first year working at the Leadership Academy, again, it was a transition and it was a blessing. Our math teacher said that they were done and we needed a math teacher. Well, we had a training program, and one of those training institutes, there was this young woman that was there and she would not sit down. Every time she came to the institute, it was on a Tuesday, and she came to the class on that Tuesday and she didn't sit down through the math. She was up and going from table to table, helping kids with their math. It was obvious. And then she came back on the next Tuesday. And every time she came, she was up and around helping the kids with the math. And when Dr. Marshall said, we need a math teacher, I said, I know who we're going to get. And that's Miss Demetra. Then every time I was there would be, and I'm going to say this, are you ready? There was this white man sitting in the back. I'm like, who is he? He doesn't miss a class. He didn't miss Tuesday. He didn't miss Thursday. All right. And then I said, Don, come here. Got something we want you to do. And before we knew it, the team for our Thursday class was myself, Miss Demetra, and Mr. Don. What a team that was. Mama Rita never missed, almost every Tuesday. She was right there meeting with the kids and working with the kids. Miss Riley, oh, when we needed her to, we got somebody that you need to meet with before you get moving into this college. You need some support. Meet with Miss Riley, let us know. So the team, David, the team was just magnificent. And Marlene, that's one woman who absolutely loved Omega. I had no idea you came in 2004 because when I met Marlene, she knew Omega up and down. Oh my goodness. And then came Miss Patterson. Brought us up to a level of productivity and excellence that was just magnificent. It's just been an amazing blessing. And I'll never forget when Dr. Marshall said, no, I think they asked for me. Dr. Marshall said, you're going to Cape Town to train. My first training institute that I did all by myself was how many, not miles, because I can't count that high. How many hours? 25 hours away at Cape Town. And so it's been a blessing and a gift to work with each of you. I remember meeting with Dr. Marshall calls his sister, Miss Browning, Jack, always there looking after. And then one of the kids in the class who took on the information so well until we like, you're gonna pass that baton or hold on to it together. And that's Miss Deirel. So yeah, I remember a lot, and I appreciate all of it. It's been wonderful and a blessing. What a blessing to touch the lives of young people, and then to be open and available for them to touch and transform my life as well. And I didn't forget you, baby. Because you've been a blessing. And all the things that you do and have done and continue to do. It's been great. It's been wonderful. Happy anniversary. Was I supposed to say, and now Miss Demetra?
I was gonna get Miss Demetra in. I was gonna get her right now.
Oh, okay.
Let me just, I think as people listen, you understand, we've always from day one tried to get better at what we do. Always. When the first group of kids sent them off to college and you got this opportunity and they blew it. I'm not gonna name somebody. I can see 3 units and 1.5 on this transcript, and I gave $3,000. I said, and they came back and said, yeah, but we weren't prepared even if we graduated from high school or got our GED. In stepped Dr. Norris. Okay, we found out what was wrong. Writing skills, research skills. We started her writing class, right? And every time we would find, we wanted to get better and better. And that led to a summer program. You know, we did a summer program. And that led to Thursday night. Then it led to a full leadership academy program. And we kept trying to get better. And we kept finding folks to make us better. And they come up with ideas. When we found out that, yeah, well, we just because they went to school and had this opportunity doesn't mean, we changed the person's location, but we didn't change the person inside. Oh, we got to come up with a methodology, a prescription. We had to come up with that to ensure. And here's another aha moment, Dr. Norris. Us taking Monday night off from the radio show and going to watch Menace to Society, and sitting in the car and writing that first list of risk factors, which then we developed into this entire prescription, which we've been able to give the world. But finding all of you, the all-star team, to make this happen. So I think we're better now than ever because we kept getting better and better and better and bringing and folks. Mr. Demetra, you've been around for a while. Jump on in.
Before Mr. Demetra, excuse me just a second. I'm going to say good night and happy anniversary.
That's why I was doing this. I knew it was coming.
But thank you so much. And it was great being with everyone, and just keep going from good to better to best to infinity. It's like, the sky really is the limit, and that's where we're going. And Rita, I'm so happy to see you. We could have gone way back. But it's so good to see you.
I'm gonna send you a link for Tuesday because Susie's a kid. If you want to pop in, I'm sure they want to see you.
Okay, thanks a million.
All right. Okay. All right, Mr. Demetra, you up.
And I just want to say for Mr. Demetra, who has just been just a blessing that I can't even explain or describe. I mean, my partner, the co-teacher, my kid, my friend, my sister, just a blessing. And the dance, we learned how to dance with each other. I mean, if I'm teaching a concept, she's got math. I can't do anything with that except good job, Mr. Demetra. Bam. But when it comes to Alive and Free, and we're doing that dance, oh my goodness, she'll step in and she's got something magnificent. And then I step back. And today, right now, we are dancing through the Leadership Academy this year. And I just thank her for being there all the way from Tanzania, 4 o'clock in the morning. She gets up. And that's right. Well, right now she's here, but she has been, and she's just, I love her dearly. Don, love you dearly. Just the work that you've supported me and helped me up, and I really appreciate that. Mr. Demetra.
Your turn, Mr. Demetra.
Hi, everybody. Excuse my lighting. I'm in the car. But my memories of Omega when I entered, well, I started through the training. I was completely done with nonprofit world and teaching and all that. And I have two mentors, Christina Thompson, Heather Starnes, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. All I want to do is come in and just teach some kids and help them soar, but I got to deal with all this BS. All these teachers, they don't look like me. They don't get it. I'm over it. I'm done. Like I was my bags were packed and I was walking out of the world, and they literally blocked the door and they were like, no, wait, just give us one more. And they know anything they ask me to do, I do it. I'm a sucker for them, but they just do this training. I don't want to do. And I'm yelling at them, I don't want to take any more trainings. I'm so over this. I'm tired of these poverty pimps. I'm just over it. And so just take the training. Oh, whatever. So I go and I take the training. It was in San Francisco at the clubhouse where we currently are now. And this was 2006, I believe. 2006 is when I did the training, and took the training, and it completely changed my world. It didn't solve the poverty pimp equation, but it gave me answers to everything that I could not understand as I grew up in East Palo Alto, California. We spoke about it being the crack epidemic and just how life literally changed overnight. And I didn't have answers for that. It didn't make sense to me. And after that training, it gave me the language, it gave me the thinking, it gave me the processing I needed to understand what it is I was being brought up in and what I was facing, my own anger, fear, and pain, dealing with, family members who were in it, on it, you name it. And then just stuff that I had to navigate my world in East Palo Alto to over this crazy rich world in Atherton. Like it just answered so much too, which is literally life-changing for me. And so I still didn't want to go back to the poverty pimps, but I was like, you know what I can do? I can do this myself. And so I can take my mama's van. She was a daycare provider at the time, and she had a 16 passenger van or something like that. And so I was like, I can take my mama's van, and I got all these little cousins coming up in this stuff. Everybody get in the van and we going to San Francisco. So everybody, the fact that they can go somewhere on a school night and not have to be at home, they loved it. So come what time? Club started at 5:30. We'd jump, everybody jump in the van. I'm picking everybody up by like 4:30 from East Palo Alto. And we just started coming up there. And from that, I also started, I think I was already in the process, though. I just wanted my family, the dynamics of my own family to change. We knew all about the bail system. We knew about people going to jail, having a party for this one, going to jail, having a party for this one, getting out of jail. And I was just like, why can't we party for college? Like, let's switch this narrative. And so I was taking my little cousins on these college tours, all the way across the country, Black college tours, let's go. And of course that spread like wildflowers. So between that and going up to Omega on Tuesday night, I was like, shoot, they don't get it, I'm gonna get it. And that's one thing that Heather and Christina taught me, was that you don't gotta be with an organization to do what's right. You just do it. And so just started doing that and bringing them up there every Tuesday, and then college tours and all that. And then it was Mrs. Estell, I forget the year that I started teaching, but Mrs. Estell came to me and was like, we need a math instructor. And I was like, Okay, like that's a no-brainer. Am I here?
Can you see yours?
Yes, you're still here. I mean, Dr. Marshall was talking to Jack, but go ahead, baby.
Oh, I was like, that's a no-brainer. I took the position, and I honestly thought it was a position I wasn't getting paid for. I didn't know it was paid, but I took it even if I was volunteering. I took the position, and she was like, "No, you're getting paid." I was like, "Oh, okay." So took the position. It was there, and I remember I was teaching for about a year maybe, and Don, he came up to me and he was like, basically in his own way, "What are you doing with your life?" I was like, "I don't know. I just have this degree." And I was like, "I want to put this degree to use." But at the time I was teaching at Omega, and I knew that I wasn't ever going to teach anywhere else besides Omega. And I knew that because we all spoke the same language. We viewed these kids all in the same way. Our standards were all equivalent. I didn't have to sugarcoat anything. I didn't have to water myself down. I didn't have to listen to some old nonsense that they had no idea what they was talking about. We all disciplined in the same way. Like the list went on and on and on. I was like, I'm not teaching nowhere else. So I don't care who come to me, Dr. Marshall, I'm not teaching anywhere else. It's the only place I will ever teach. And so from that, I was just teaching there on Tuesdays. And then Thursdays came, or what have you. And then Don, "Well, what are you doing with your life?" I was like, "I don't know." Because it's little, like, y'all probably know about this. I'm a flower child as well. I don't know. I'm just going to put this degree to use and we'll just see. And from there, Don was like, "Have you ever heard of Wall Street?" "No, just the name. That's all I know." "Okay, well, it's this position. You're not going to get it." That's what he told me. "You're not going to get it, but you're going to go interview for it just for practice." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And long story short, I got the position, worked in finance on Wall Street as a trader for 10 years. During that time, I went to Don about my money and was like, "I'm tired of the way I'm handling my money. I need to do better. I need to see better." From that conversation, I was the first student for the Financially Alive and Free class. Wrote the curriculum with Don. That was some arguments, some cheers, some cries, some, "Hey, what is supposed to," it was, you name it, we did it all. And so from there, we both wrote that curriculum, and what do we have, 10 years, 17, I don't know, 14, 13 years later, we have kids who, when we initially started, was walking out with loads of debt, not understanding what they signed up for, to now they won't even walk into a school where they have to pay debt, where they're going to be walking away with debt, to where they're switching dream colleges because they understand the impact that can have on them financially. And just looking at their finances in a completely different light, and being the change that they always wanted with their own finances. And then out of that, one student, there's many students that I can have stories about, but one student who argued me on day one about a credit card, and I just told her, "Just keep coming. Don't go get no credit card." I said it like that. "Just keep coming." And she kept coming, and it literally transformed her life. She went on to college herself, and UC Berkeley, and took the Omega Financially Alive and Free curriculum and made it into her own, where she was offering workshops on campus through different organizations. So when it was my time to step aside, I just like Mrs. Estell said, she knew it was me. I knew who was going to take my place, and that was Miss Deirel. And it's been one hell of a ride. I can list on and on what I did at Omega and all this and all that, but I can never, ever, ever, no one can ever talk about my life and not be able to say the impact that Omega has had on my life. That this organization, yeah, I was the teacher, but I think I was probably one of the best students at Omega, and continue to be one of the best students there. What it has done for me, it literally has changed my life, and it continues to change my life. It never stops. And I thought I was leaving 3 years ago, and I'm still here. But again, like, it just, this place it's not a program to me. It's more than a family. It's a lifeline. Like, if you on life support, like how you got to have that machine to keep going, that's what Omega is to me. So I was just this little girl, as Mrs. Estell said, when I first started, I used to put the whole class out. I was a torch. I would burn everybody out. Mrs. Estell got to come and
Lord,
yes, you did.
And she had to come and set and calm the fires and this and that. To this woman that can just move gracefully amongst her students and appreciate the growth in my life, and it's nothing but Omega. It's nothing but Omega that has done that, and no one could ever try to change that part of the story in my life, ever.
So here's the challenge. I got 9 minutes and I got 4 people, which is not impossible. Let me just say, to the people that get that worry about me or in my succession and all this mess, I've always said the message is bigger than the messenger. The 2 things that we have to offer the world that will, if anybody can pass on, and we've seen this, are the alive and free prescription and the financially alive and free prescription. That's our gift to the world. We can literally teach people how to stop the violence. We can teach young people, and we do. And Llowelyn is here, and we'll get to him just to show you how far this thing can travel. And we can teach young people how to be financially alive and free. That has nothing to do with me. Now, I think all of us, from Jack, me, on down, we're good salesmen, we're good instructors, but the material, if you get it, is what the message is way bigger than the messengers. We have all been great messengers, we continue to be, but what we leave into the world, hey, Ukraine and Russia could use right now. Let's put it like that. Let me do Miss Deirel. I gotta do Ann and Miss Patterson and Llowelyn. I'm gonna wrap it up with you. Okay.
All right, I'll try to be quick. I'm like laughing because Miss Demetra loves to tell this story about how resistant I was with the whole credit card thing. So it's so funny because it's so true. But I came to Omega, when was it? Something like 2016, 2017, when I was in community college. I had a friend who went through the program and, just spoke really highly about it, said it was really supportive for her. And so I remember just like dropping by one night and meeting Miss Estell and her telling me the expectations for being a part of class, coming to Tuesdays, coming to Thursdays. And it's wild because I feel like I would have never thought coming into class that I would become a teacher at Alive and Free. And I feel like one of the biggest, like something that really stands out to me that I often think about is when I was when there was gonna be the fundraiser at the country club, and Miss Estell told me, she was like, I think Deirel should write a speech to talk there. And I feel like I never really talked too much in class. So I was really surprised that Miss Estell saw that in me, that she thought that I could give a speech. And I remember just like taking my time to prepare to write the speech about how Omega really impacted my life and, you know, how emotional it was. And I really resonate with what Ms. Demetra said, that it is, you get the language to name what you see in your life, what you see in your environment. And I think, you know, I remember I did really well and people were clapping after that speech. And that's just one example of the impact that the program has, right, on young people, that they're able to be supported by teachers to be able to see something in themselves that, you know, they may not fully see yet. And I feel that 100% with Ms. Demetra too, when she was like, do you want to teach my class? And I was like, are you sure? But yeah, overall, I think, you know, my journey is still very new, I think, compared to a lot of folks on this call. But I'm just, you know, I feel like what you get at Omega, at Alive and Free, is an extended family. And so I'm just so grateful to be supported by people in this journey. And as I continue to grow and learn how to be a teacher as well.
Miss Patterson and Ann.
Unmute, baby. Unmute.
Y'all gotta say something now.
She's an unmute.
Hold on a minute. Oh, sorry about that. Well, I've been with the organization for 10 years now. January the 3rd this year, it made 10 years. And wow. I have to say that I'm the first person in the history of Omega to have ever held the position for that long.
That is true.
Yeah.
And you hold it down, baby. You hold it down.
That's for sure.
I came to Omega. I was a corporate girl. I came to Omega with 30 years of corporate experience and event planning and project management. And I thought, okay, we'll see how this is going to work. And immediately when I was interviewing with Andre, I saw how my skills and experience could add value to the organization. And over the years, I've managed to wear many, many hats. My responsibilities are basically behind the scenes, working on projects that a lot of people don't really get a chance to see, which gives me an opportunity to get involved in all facets of the organization. I get involved in planning logistics for our events and also for creating programs and signage for our events. Of course, my favorite event is Kwanzaa. That's my baby. And thank you, Mama Rita, for passing the torch on to me and my team. And that's Brianna, Dana, and Evangela. And I hope that me and my team have made you proud. So I've, like I said, I've created signage for events, and during the rebranding, I got an opportunity to create an interim logo for us, because during our rebranding, we couldn't use the logo, the new logo yet. And we were right in the middle of an event at the, what was that club that we had our event at? I forgot what the celebration was, and we had a logo. So I created an interim logo for that. And it's just nice that I get a chance to work with, I work very closely with the accountant during our audits. I manage the data for the Leadership Academy and the Institute, which gives me an opportunity to work with Marlene, which she uses that information when she applies for our grants. I provide administrative support for the board, coordinating the meetings and transcribing the minutes. And basically, as the years pass, my joy comes from assisting the student And that is really what keeps me here at Omega.
Girl, listen, you hold it down. Let's talk about systematic, systemic, organized.
Thank you.
Can you understand what I'm saying?
Organization is my middle name.
It's just
See my cabinet.
amazing what you do. Talk about glue, super glue, easy glue, clear glue, glitter glue, whatever it is, you hold it together.
And on top of that, the link to you that you have to the students is invaluable.
Yes.
Because they say things to you that they don't say things to others, and you seem to be right there at the right time. It's that's a real gift. You link them when they're in college, looking to communicate with us. It's fantastic.
I put my mom hat on a lot there.
Yes.
And I want to say you guys have done a fantastic job. I've always been proud of the way you've taken over Kwanzaa and done and presented it and let the kids continue to follow through with the Kwanzaa celebration. There's so much more that you do that I admire. So, and I wanted to also say, I was thinking about the other person that had helped in the very beginning with the Kwanzaa, and I wanted to mention her name. It's Siobhan's auntie. Her name was Roxy.
Oh,
and she transitioned not long ago, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned her name because she was very instrumental in the very beginning with all of this. And then of course, Coach and Coach's wife, you know, also backing us up with the food for the Kwanzaa and stuff. It wouldn't have been what it is, and even what it is now if it hadn't been for them. So I just wanted to make sure I shouted them out. And one other thing that we did in the very beginning, Marsha and Jack, you guys remember allegiance? We used to have an allegiance, pledge to the allegiance. Well, it wasn't pledge to allegiance of the United States, but it was a allegiance that I don't know if you put it together, Marshall, or Jack put it together, but we used to say it all the time. But anyway, that was something else that I remember from the very beginning of coming. Because you guys remember, Mila was 11 and Layla was 8 when we.
I gotta get, Mama Rita, I gotta get in.
And Kareem used to help with Kwanzaa as well. Kareem started out with Kwanzaa.
I gotta get Ann in. Ann.
Wait, I like hearing these memories.
I know you do, but you're part of them. So
I'm gonna say, Mama Rita, you share those Tuesday night. You come back. Because I think that's really what it is, right? Like there's just so much to Alive and Free and all the different memories. And I started with the radio show. So in 2011, started filming within the radio show at the iHeart radio station. And we were the first ones to actually live stream the show as well. So, you know, live streaming and the podcasting and all of that. So I think, you know, Street Soldiers was pretty groundbreaking from the beginning. And then I was able to start working within the office, and I learned so much from Ms. Patterson, to be honest. So yes, organization, learning how to file and get the labels right and all that good stuff, which then put me into the next position, which is working on development as well as marketing. And so I get to talk to the students and learn their journey. I'm in the classroom taking pictures, you know, before COVID. Now I'm screenshotting Zoom things. But I guess I just really value being able to capture these moments. Everything's just really special about, I think, Alive and Free and the people that are a part of it, like every single person. And now I'm gonna get all teary-eyed because it is deeper than I don't know. It's just there's this certain kind of just treating each other as human, but holding each other accountable. And I think that Ms. Estell says the word that the love is unconditional, and I think that's true. I think that's exactly what it is, and it affects like more than just the students. It affects the parents that come in, and then the aunts and the uncles, and then the people that are in the consortium, and then it's just a very community type of organization that I just feel very honored to be a part of and to document. And so that's that.
And the work you do is unparalleled. I mean, I don't know a damn thing about social media. You know everything about social media. I mean, you're one person, 10 seconds after it's out, it's posted. So, I mean, I'm telling you, it's just,
But
just
see,
keep
it
doing
needs to be because it's so
Just keep-
important. You
just keep-
guys, your
just keep doing
messages
it.
need to be broadcasted to the world, and I'm just trying to help.
Just keep doing it. Just, our visual presence is incredible because of you. So thank you. And Llowelyn, you've waited for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Let me just say, the last thing I ever thought on February 26, 1987, is that we would be in South Africa in the presence of you. To me, that little basement of Potrero Hill and this classroom that Don has showing, for it to reach all the way to Cape Town, South Africa is nuts. It's just really nuts. And you symbolize to me, because you're the furthest away. You're in a whole different continent. You're in the bottom of the Cape of Horn. And that just, I could never have, they say miracle, I just couldn't have read. I remember being down there and Lady Estell, you've been there, when the two oceans meet and they don't cross, or like, and seeing Llowelyn, you get the last say so about this remarkable thing called Alive and Free and Omega Boys Club. Great to see you, man. Love you, and go right ahead.
Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
And you started me, you make me very emotional right now. I'm gonna say this, you know, Nelson Mandela changed this country, but you all changed my life. And I have fond memories and of Don and Doc and Jack, just the impact you had on my life, on my family and my community. And that for me is more important, you know, to what this country has achieved. And my journey with Alive and Free started in 2022. I remember on the 24th of June, after almost 40 hours flying from Cape Town into New York and then to San Francisco. Now, when we as South Africans think of San Francisco, you know, and the East Coast, we think of gangs. You know, our gangs, the name of our gangs are, you know, the Yankees, you know, Chicago, you know, young people that idolize the gangs. So when I drove in as a Christian boykie into San Francisco on the 24th on the Gay Pride Parade, I thought to myself, what have I let myself into? And, but after I started attending a lot, the Training Institute, my life changed. And I can truly say that for me, it was a hot issue. It wasn't a program anymore because it started impacting my life. And when I came back, my family and my community. And you cannot be in Alive and Free if you're not there with your heart and with the people. And I always say, you know, that the two things that you have to have. You have to have Christ in your heart and education in your head. And if you can do that, then you're going to change the world. And that is what Alive and Free simplified and exemplified to me. And I've been changed forever. My community has been changed. The impact Dr. Marshall and Mrs. Estell had when they came to South Africa. And for those of you who haven't been to South Africa, I always say it's like, you know, if you don't open your mouth in Cape Town, it will feel American. Our music is American, our gangs are American, our lifestyle are American. It's only the language that is different. And the Live and Free program taught me that you can replicate and use that program wherever you are, and you can bring a change to that community. And I've physically seen that in the jails I work, in the juvenile detention centers, the school I'm working in now, that I've been able to change. My eyes opened. And like I said, the first thing that I had to change was my own mindset. You know, being a part, 2002, it was just about 10 years after apartheid was abolished. I didn't realize how much the apartheid regime has affected and influenced my mind. And although I wasn't involved in gangs, I went to church, but I grew up in a gang community. And the methodologies, just opened up my eyes. So Dr. Marshall, I'm just honored to be part of this movement, part of this program, being able to change and transform lives across the world, with the simple truths that, you don't have to go to a college, university to experience those things, just simple things. So my prayer is that God will continue to bless, on this anniversary, the live and free movement, and every person involved, every family involved, and together we can change the world and we can keep our young people alive, not only our young people, our communities alive and free from violence.
35 years has come to this, Jack. I like, Don, what you said, the all-star team. I just, Gwen, it's great for you. You have to see what we produce, just to hear it from Llowelyn, from that little room all the way to South Africa, and the effect that is having not only there, but any place it can get to. And like I said, I remember going to Cape Town, and this kid said to me, "A friend will never lead you to danger," but I never taught him that. Llowelyn taught him that. The message is bigger than the messenger. And I just want to thank all of the all-star team for making this, creating this. This thing is life-changing. To me, it's world-changing. The whole world won't listen, but those that do, like Llowelyn said, there's nothing more valuable than the individual's life. Rule for living, #1. And 35 years, we keep it rolling. But somebody's always going to be giving this message. We teach it to them. All we got to do is get it out there and teach. Lady E, I see you smiling. Go ahead.
Yes, I am. What a blessing.
This
There are
has
no
been awesome.
words. Sir?
This has been awesome.
Oh, it really has. And there's not enough time to talk about, really hear and or say all the things, the contributions, the gifts, the time, the energy, the caring, the thoughtfulness, the love, the commitment that's been put into each other, into this work, into the children, into organizations. Oh my goodness. And it is a work.
Yeah.
It is a work. And the energy and its strength, the courage to continue to do this work comes from beyond us. And it holds us and keeps us. And my prayer is that we continue to be held from the beginning until whatever tomorrow holds, because that work is for the young people that need, deserve, and require the support, the love that they've been given and that they'll receive. And what a gift that we've been able to be a part of that. So blessings to each of us, to each of you. Tomorrow morning, we're back to work. Some of us move at a different pace. That would be me. And then Miss Patterson's getting ready, and she probably got work that she's doing tonight. Llowelyn's got the work that he's got that's coming up in a few minutes. But for each of you, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tuesday night.
Good
Tuesday
night.
If you care, hang on.
Go.
Tuesday night, if you care for more of this, you will see the fruits of the labor. The young people, the Omegas will be there. They're gonna say a happy birthday, and we'll hear their stories. But I wanted everybody to see the team, the all-star team, the all-star team, the all-star team over the years that has made this thing work and created something that's a miracle. It's that simple. Jack, you want to say something? And we'll get out of here and let everybody go. And Normally you pray, but I don't know if you want to pray over this one too.
Well, I think it's, it's a matter of commitment, being consistent. And I think that's the key thing, commitment and consistency. And I want to thank personally all of you who were up here tonight and appreciate especially, because everything is important. The most important day is today. Thank Miss Estell for being such an important part of this, and Don, who's always been there. Everybody, and everybody. So I think Miss Estell just gave the prayer, and we always end it with a mention and understanding of the God of your choice, that God has been there for us all the way and continues to ride alongside of us. And we just, hope and bless that you all continue your journey and your work. We're all together. We're a family. Till we meet the next time, 3 times. Can I hear an amen?
Amen.
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 And amen.
Amen.
Thank you. It's all love. Thank you.
All right, good night,
Definitely
y'all.
all love.
Good night, everyone.
Good to see you tomorrow.
Anniversary.